Big breaking news coming at the top of 1:30 at a time when prices of almost all petroleum products are being increased by oil companies. The Control and Auditor General has decided to audit the pricing policy of all petroleum products. Sources confirmed that a few days back, a letter was sent by the CAG to the Oil Ministry asking for details on how the prices of petroleum products are decided. CAG anticipates that due to inappropriate or faulty pricing policy by the oil marketing companies, the companies have garnered more than 60,000 crore rupees approximately extra money from the common man. Recently, there was a meeting regarding the issue between CAG, audit team and senior officials of the Oil Ministry. CAG will also examine on how the different components, that is education cess, road development fund, etc. of the oil prices are being utilized by the central government. The issue may rock Parliament as well, with the report being submitted during the next Parliament session. At least it's believed so at the moment. Recently, the non-subsidized gas prices were increased by 250 rupees and there was an increase in petroleum and diesel prices as well. The audit is headed by Deputy CAG, Usha Shankar. Narendra Taneja, oil expert, is now joining us on the phone line. Sir, for a long time, the oil companies made us believe that they are bleeding, but this seems to suggest a totally contrary situation.
Well, you see, the thing is that oil companies and, of course, always been concerned with the government. They work out economics because don't forget one thing, oil is a product, or these are the products we are talking about, which are heavily imported. Roughly 80% of our total requirement, is imported. So there are market sensitivities, there are price sensitivities, there are geopolitical sensitivities, and there are, of course, regulatory and compliance sensitivities. So there are lots of things into the picture. So when CAG is going to look into it, or is going to look into it further, those are basically strictly from the audit viewpoint. I don't really think that they will reach to the right conclusions, because a lot of things in oil sector and the gas sector, which are, for instance, not even in the public domain because of the sensitivities involved. They must maintain transparency. I fully support this idea, but at the same time, this is a highly complex, highly technical industry. Therefore, I think it's very important whatever CAG says or in the public domain, I think they have to be extremely careful so there is no kind of further trust deficit between the oil and gas industry and the consumers and the public opinion at large. As it is, we have seen in the case of electricity and a lot of other such things, there's a lot of trust deficit between the companies involved and the public, which I don't really think is going to help the energy sector in general. These are highly technical areas, and only those who understand and those who can take a holistic view should actually be sitting at the judgment and coming out with the kind of reports which are actually set out for the public consumption. I think I personally, as an oil expert, as energy expert, I'm seriously worried about the way, for instance, the populism is taking over the whole thing. And CAG, I don't want to say that what they're doing is wrong. All I'm saying is that I don't think that they should go beyond the mandate that's given to them. That is just audit, nothing else.
Mr. Narendra Taneja, I'd request you to stay on with us. Let's get in more details from our correspondent Ashish Mehrishi. Ashish, how long is this audit likely to take, and what are the areas that they are going to delve into? What's the mandate? All right, there seems to be an audio problem there with Ashish Mehrishi. We'll just fix it in a bit, but let me go across back to Narendra Taneja, oil expert. Sir, you were talking about how the CAG should also be careful about the statements that they make so as to not increase the trust deficit. But they have suggested that there are about 60,000 crore rupees extra money that has been extracted out of the common man by constantly raising the prices of petrol products. Do you think that such a statement coming into a public space is certainly not good at this point before the audit is done?
Well, you see, look, these companies have been talking about for years now under recoveries. For instance, even if you take the 60,000 crore or whatever is mentioned out of that, we are still talking about roughly 55,000 crores loss when it comes to the oil and OMCs only, that is oil marketing companies alone. We are here not even talking about the losses of other companies. So even if you take that out, and secondly, as I said, that these things should be first addressed to the companies. Companies should be internally asked to explain, and then they should take a very holistic view whether they should go out to the public opinion and to the public with such things without very careful study involved and all sensitivities taken care of. You see, CAG is a great organization. I have high respect for them, but I'm completely against CAG activism. There are lots of other organizations involved in this kind of, activism, and I think CAG should be extremely cautious. I'm not saying that, they should not audit. They should audit, and transparency is the first thing we all need in the country. But at the same time, I think we got to understand here we're talking about an industry which is highly competitive. A lot of sensitivities involved, and I just for the sake of discussion, I want to say, just compare the price of petrol and diesel with, let's say, in India and Bangladesh and Pakistan. What is the price of diesel in Bangladesh? What is the price of diesel in Pakistan? Compare that with India, and you reach to the conclusion. In India, diesel is still the cheapest in South Asia. How and why? And they're all importing like us. We are importing 80%, other countries are importing even more. So there are lots of things which need to be taken up before you go to the public and say, look, all these companies are thugs.
Mr. Taneja, but there is also this whole question about how oil prices and diesel prices are directly linked to inflation. I will come back to you to discuss that, but we have fixed our line with Ashish Mehrishi. Let's get in more details from him. Ashish, we were talking about the mandate of this audit and how long will it take for this audit to take place?
Well, my sources, Maha, confirm that it won't take too much of a time. In fact, it was ordered in the last week of December itself. Recently, in fact, last week there was a meeting in the CAG with the senior oil officials, and our sources have confirmed that an audit has been ordered by the CAG. But here, more important is that companies have been able to garner more than 60,000 crore rupees extra from common man. This is what the CAG anticipates, and the oil companies have always been saying that there are huge under recoveries, they are under massive loss, and they have to subsidize because of the policy of the government. The government, in fact, there is a Cr INR committee report as well, where they said that there is no other choice but to remove the subsidies. You have already seen that the gas prices have been increased. We have already seen the petrol and the diesel prices have been increased, and they are being increased. If you remember, on the same issue, the Prime Minister had said that ki paise ped pe nahi lagte hain. So indeed, at a time when inflation is pinching, it is certainly hitting common man. The CAG has started to decide, and they've decided to audit the petroleum product pricing policy.
Ashish Mehrishi, many thanks for joining us with those details. Many thanks to Narendra Taneja as well for helping us understand the issue in depth.